Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Capricorn energy, and like usual on this channel we're going to do two rows. The top row I'll refer to as high vibe Capricorn, the bottom row is a more worldly shadowy Capricorn energy, because we've all got free will and we have to make decisions in our life, and we have our more worldly nature. In Capricorn, that's represented by the devil, which is just our more worldly nature, our fear, our insecurity, our pride, our ego, our self-centered nature, our being more caught up just in things of the world, our ego, our lazy nature. You know, we've all got that aspect within ourselves to some degree. And it can just be our fear and our insecurity. And our high vibe nature would like us to love and believe in ourselves, grow and mature ourselves, have hope and faith and belief in ourselves and our dreams and in love. And some people would maybe like to do things differently in their life, but then you have to kind of wrap your brain around it and do the debate within yourself to change habits, change jobs, friendships, relationships, if you want to free yourself from things that manipulate you. Even if it's just things within yourself. Why do I let my fear or my insecurity manipulate me, you know? Because when we're in kind of more shadowy energy, there's going to be other people in the world that are happy to be in a relationship with us being in that energy, because they're maybe in that same energy or other shadowy energy. And if we want to have our dreams come into reality based on truth and love and justice and fairness and all that good stuff, we need to first quit aligning with the shadowy energy within ourselves, and then we'll kind of quit hanging out with people who want us to be in shadowy energy, you know, and align with people in our life who are loving and encouraging and just and fair and have hope and faith and belief in their dreams. So some people could be debating within themselves, struggling within themselves. Other people are moving forward in life differently than they had been before. Other people are repeating an old pattern. We all repeat a pattern and kind of stay in our comfort zone until we're ready to move forward in life differently. And we all learn lessons and at different times in our life. So sometimes when we want to move forward, other people aren't ready to move forward in life differently. The truth sets us free. We have to heal, grow, mature, expand our perception of ourselves, get more balance within ourselves, something, you know, and then we move forward in life differently. And we've had other people move on ahead of us in life when we weren't ready to do life like that. So, you know, we all are at where we're at. It's just that I view high vibe Capricorn as the King of Pentacles, where you really are who you say you are. You're not trying to confuse people about the truth of who you are. You're not trying to manipulate people. You're being authentic. These are the lessons I've learned in life. This is how I view life. This is what drives and motivates me. But there's other people in the world who try to present themselves as being more stable, mature, things like that than they really are. And, you know, we're really not on the same page. So listen to your intuition about where you might be in the story. Listen to your intuition about other people. Let's do the top row first. So the reason for the reading for the top row is the Eight of Swords. It's Gemini energy. 8, 9, and 10 of Swords is Gemini energy, which is about our dualistic nature and what our truth is. And, you know, we could have been in relationships with some people who had us up in a mental prison about, is your truth the same as my truth? Is what you think is just and fair what I still think is just and fair? And we come in contact with all these different people to help us get clear about our truth. And you might know some people who are up in a mental prison about love or listening to their intuition, and they could let their fear or their insecurity or their pride or their ego or their more immature nature run their life. And because some people in your life have had you up in a mental prison, it really made you think about what you think is just and fair. And so let's continue on. So we have the Page of Swords, the Justice card, the Moon card, the Seven of Wands, and the Empress energy. You know, there was some people in your life that you probably had to speak your truth to. The Page of Swords is communicating a message. It's not a harsh message. It's not trying to control people. It's just a simple message. I want justice. I want justice and fairness and balance. And, you know, my intuition, I'm going to listen to my intuition because I'm inspired to want to be in an energy. The Empress energy and the feminine figures in tarot can talk about how we think and feel. And the Empress energy is some people want to be in Libra Taurus energy with people that they think are on the same page as them. Taurus has to do with our philosophy of life, how we view ourselves, how we view the world, how we view relationships. Libra energy is what we think is just and fair. You know, we have a way of viewing life that we think is just and fair, and how we think people should conduct themselves in workplaces, friendships, and relationships. And our intuition could kind of be telling us that some other people have a different way of viewing life and what they think is just and fair. You know, and we could feel like they have their idea of what they think is just and fair, which they defend. We have our idea of what we think is just and fair. And it's out of love that high vibe people, why people want to move forward in life. But we could realize, and our intuition could tell us, that some other people are kind of defensive in the Seven of Wands to love. You know, it's a free will choice. Am I willing to invest in love? We have free will. We can choose not to invest in love. I get hurt doing love. Maybe I don't want to be more just and fair. Maybe I don't want to act with character and integrity. You know, we all have these ideas of what we think is just and fair and what we think we should be able to do in a relationship. And your intuition can tell you that some people are kind of immature. They're defensive to being just and fair. The moon can talk about that you think some people are hiding, that they operate more from their egoic defensive nature. So they're defensive to love, defensive to being just and fair, think they should kind of be indulged in a relationship, and, you know, like people to view them as a just and fair and stable and grounded and loving person, but they're kind of not. You know, and, you know, we just need to see the truth of it, and it can have us up in a mental prison because we wanted them to be in our life, whether they're our friend, our family member, romantic interests. We had love for those people, but we want it to be just and fair. But our intuition is telling us they're defensive to being more just and fair, or growing up or acting with character and integrity, maybe more about themselves, maybe more about the things of the world, and that's what really drives and motivates them. And it's like, is that why you're in the relationship with me? More because of your fears or your insecurities or your defensiveness or your want for someone to love you, but you don't really want to love other people? And that's like shadowy Empress energy. They kind of want to be the privileged person in the relationship, kind of indulged. And it's like, I want to be in relationships with people who want to do love. So, and also the bottom row can reference that we're repeating an old pattern, and we can do a phase of life, but are we ever willing to step out of our comfort zone in high vibe Empress to give birth to something new? Are we going to keep staying here kind of in a mental prison about closing out a cycle? Because we have the 8, but the 9s and the 10s are about working through those last 2 things that could kind of be a roadblock to completing a cycle. When we complete a cycle, we would get out, we would have worked through all those different thoughts and fears and insecurities we have about giving birth to something new. And we'd come out with the Ace of Swords. I worked through all those issues of my fears and insecurities, of maybe speaking my truth, standing up for what I believe in, listening to my intuition, having hope and faith and belief in my dreams to give birth to going to the next phase of life. because I'm kind of in a mental prison because I keep repeating the same way of living my life and viewing life and all this stuff because I'm kind of afraid of giving birth to anything different. Well, why aren't we giving birth to anything different? Why aren't we continuing to love ourselves, believe in ourselves, believe in our dreams, be more authentically ourselves, listen to our intuition? And the 8 to the 10, completing a cycle, is the Two of Swords, which can be about listening to your intuition. Some people have a lot of fear of listening to their intuition. Well, if I step out of my comfort zone, that is like unknown territory, and I do have to kind of listen to my more hopeful, believing, intuitive nature because I've never been there before. You know, it's just like if you were to go get a new job. Well, maybe I want to stay in my old job because if I go there, I haven't been there before. I don't know what that's going to be like. And then we can, out of our fear and insecurity, we keep staying in the job that we're in. And other people might be like, you know, I can't stay at this job anymore. You know, kind of has me in a mental prison, and I don't think it's really just and fair. And my intuition is telling me to stand up for myself and believe in myself and believe in my dreams and do this work within myself to keep maintaining balance within myself, to love and believe in myself. And you know, being bold and brave doesn't mean you don't have fear. It means in the face of fear, you move forward having hope and faith and belief in yourself. And some people are ready to do that and are doing that in their life. And there's some people that are like, the reason for the bottom rose reading is they're still hiding, not ready to deal with the truth. When we're ready to deal with the truth and work through those fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs and to speak our truth and do the work to get more balance within ourselves, because otherwise we can be tipped out of balance again, letting our fear and our insecurities and things like that manipulate us. So we have to first do this work within ourselves, which is what some people did. They were living their life a certain way, and then they were kind of inspired in the Eight of Wands to do this inner work because high vibe energy is just being more independent, loving and believing in yourself, not wanting to feel like you're being manipulated by your fear, your insecurity, your more immature nature, because it keeps you from growing to your full potential. And some people, when they start to feel up in a mental prison, they are motivated to figure out why. The Virgo Hermit is that aspect of ourself that goes within to figure out, why am I in a mental prison? You know, and then from the One Sword to the Eight of Swords is the Seven of Swords, which can be all these things that manipulate us. Our mind, our fear, being caught up in the world, getting too caught up in our ego and our image, and we kind of let all those things kind of manipulate us than listening to our intuition. You know, it's like we have the knowledge of the tree of good and evil within us, and the seeds of both were planted, and our intuition and our creative and inspired and hopeful believing nature, the seeds of those were planted within us to, and our intuition, I think, was given to us as a gift to help us navigate in this world and know that, you know, you're kind of have learned everything you needed to learn here. Now it's time for you to go to the next phase of life. Just like we did, age 15, going to age 18, going to age 21, going to age 25. We had to let go of some more immature ways of being, face our fears about believing we could go to the next phase of life and what those things entailed, and grow and mature ourselves and expand our perception of ourselves and the world around us, to believe in ourselves that I think I can go to that next phase of life. And I need to deal with my fears about going to that next phase of life and believing I can give birth to going to that next phase of life. But we're all ready when we're ready. And when some people are ready to move forward, some other people aren't. So let's go look at the bottom row. We have the Two of Cups, the Three of Cups, the Four of Wands, the Ace of Swords, and the Eight of Wands. There's a part of us, there's things in our life and people in our life that we love. The Two of Cups and the Three of Cups is Cancer energy, about love and home and family. The Four of Wands is coming together with others in joy and celebration. It's also Aries energy. Some of you could be dealing with an Aries, but, we have things and people and jobs that, with people that we can have love for and we enjoy. But are they wanting to keep always moving forward the same way? Where we kind of hide from the truth, even though, moving forward in your life is being illuminated to the truth, where I need to heal, grow, mature, expand my perception of the world around me, deal with my fears and insecurities. But in our more worldly, shadowy, egoic nature, we can have the idea, I'm just going to keep moving forward the way I'm moving forward. I'm kind of going to hide that I might be a little bit in a mental prison, but I'm not ready to work through those issues yet. So I just want to keep moving forward the way I'm moving forward. Even though I might be in a mental prison, I'm just not going to tell anybody. And if I feel like things are kind of manipulating me, and if I feel like I'm, not living my authentic truth, and it's really causing me a lot of mental conflict, or I feel like some of the people that I could be moving forward with, maybe I feel shadowy Cancer could be people who we think are kind of emotionally manipulative. They don't have to be a Cancer sun sign. It's just how they harness their Cancer energy. We could feel like some people are kind of bossy and controlling. We could feel some people are kind of immature. We could feel that some people that we're in a relationship with lack self-awareness and self-insight. But we love them. And there's a part of us that wants to keep moving forward with them. But, it's just our intuition calling us to speak our truth. Listen to our intuition. We can stay in certain jobs, friendships, and relationships, and it could be that we're just kind of indulging our more immature nature, because shadowy Eight of Wands and Sagittarius is kind of our more immature nature, and it could be also just still being more inspired by ourselves and these things of the world that we want to indulge in. And so Sagittarius energy is also represented by the Knight of Wands. Well, in tarot, we have lessons to learn. And, we do have lessons to learn in life, but in tarot, we have the pages, then we have the knights, then we have the kings and queens, then we have the emperor and empress. And when we're in page and knight energy, we're, moving forward in life, learning certain lessons, but it's kind of like our intuition is telling us, if we've been kind of more in page and knight energy, now it's to, we're ready. We've kind of learned everything we needed to learn here. That's why it's starting to cause us mental conflict. But because we have fear of moving forward in life differently, maybe taking on more responsibility, to be in like king and queen energy and learn the lessons we kind of need to learn at that phase of life. And then once we kind of learn the lessons at that phase of life, then in emperor and empress energy, it's kind of like we've kind of went off in life and kind of went to the edge in all these different areas, letting our heart run our life, letting our mind run our life, and then we've learned that love is the answer if we go on all these different journeys in life, and Sagittarius is going on these journeys to learn these lessons. But when we've gone on a journey, gotten involved in some things in our life, lived our life a certain way, we were meant to learn lessons from that life experience. It's not to just, you can. Everybody has free will. You can live your life whatever way you want. But part of life is about learning lessons in life. And high vibe Sagittarius is about higher learning and education. And Virgo energy is about growing and healing and maturing yourself, seeing the truth. What things should I let go of? What are the good building blocks to take with me? To go to facing my fears, to grow to my full potential, letting my intuition and love be the guiding factor in my life, than letting my more worldly, immature nature, because it keeps me in not growing and maturing myself. I'm not like growing to my full potential. And some people are like, that's fine. I like my life. I want to keep moving forward like this. Other people periodically do like to go through their issues, work through them, drop some of that baggage, and come out with this new beginning. I worked through some issues that I had hidden in the dark that kind of had me in a mental prison because I don't like carrying baggage with me. We all at any given moment can have some past pain and heartbreak, some self-limiting beliefs, and for a while we can kind of ignore it, but it keeps kind of maybe accumulating and it starts to become more of a bother. And so some people decide, I'm going to work through those things. I want to get to the truth of the matter. I want to reconcile myself with some of those issues so I can drop that baggage. I think that's just and fair. And I'm going to listen to my intuition and be inspired to take that action to get out of my ego about some of these things that manipulate me and cause me stress, anxiety, whatever, because I don't want to keep carrying that baggage with me and I want to give birth to something new. High vibe energy is about being free, being more independent, loving yourself, feeling more balanced within yourself, feeling more grounded within yourself, knowing how to love yourself, treating yourself with love and compassion and forgiveness, offering love and compassion and forgiveness to people in your past so you can let that baggage go and you can keep moving forward to bring your dream into reality. But that is, in our Gemini nature, a free will choice. Other people might decide, I have an idea, I have fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs too, but I have an idea. I'm just going to keep keeping those things hidden in the dark. Put it in a box in the corner of my mind. I don't want to deal with it. I don't have to deal with it. I know I'm going to keep indulging in these things of the world or indulging myself in my ego, indulging myself in relationships, What is the answer to our problems? High vibe people have realized I need to deal with the truth of the situation. Virgo's about getting to the truth. And the Page of Swords is about, I have an inner child nature that has hope and faith and belief in love and in my dreams. Am I kind of just indulging myself in the world, in my ego, indulging in all these things to try to make me feel better? But I'm hiding from loving myself and living my authentic truth because I'm in a mental prison about maybe speaking my truth. I'm in a mental prison about the things I would have to move away from and quit indulging in. And, we can align with the Four of Wands is Aries energy, which is about the self. We can align with kind of emotionally indulging ourselves in the world. No, I don't have to do that. No, I don't have to grow up. No, I don't have to deal with those past issues. But it kind of keeps us imprisoned emotionally, because this is a feminine figure. Where emotionally we would like to feel more grounded, stable, abundant within ourselves, because the Empress energy can talk about all those things. And especially when we start to feel like we're tipped out of balance and that it is more of our fear and our insecurity or our codependency or our self-indulgent nature. And we're just not moving forward in life the way we thought we were going to be moving forward. We're not accomplishing maybe some of the dreams that we had because the difference again between the 1 and the 8 is the 7 of Swords, which is Aquarius energy. Is this how I thought I was going to live my life? You know, there could be things I enjoy. I could have people that are indulging me. People want to be in a relationship with me. But is it love? Is it codependency? Is it lust? Is it greed? Is it kind of more caught up in the worldly dream of ego and image? Is there more to life than that? High vibe Aquarius energy is looking at life from a higher perspective, being able to keep things in perspective, not getting so caught up in, I need this now, I want this now. It's like, I'm going to probably live 80 years. Some people just really want to be in a relationship. So I have an idea. I'll go get in a relationship with someone, maybe more because I'm in a mental prison. And instead of me doing the work within myself to work through those issues, no, that's not the answer. I know. Sometimes people can get in relationships with other people thinking they're the answer to their problems. And then they can go get in a new relationship, but they still haven't worked through these issues within themselves. Those things are still buried beneath the surface. I'm still kind of defensive to love, and I maybe haven't learned to love myself, but I didn't think that was the answer. I looked to these things outside the world and get in a relationship with someone to be the answer to my problems. Well, people who do that get in a relationship with someone else, and then you're supposed to be the answer to their problems. And as you're moving along in a relationship, and they could get in relationships with people who are more loving, nurturing, just, fair, balanced. And they're like, oh, that makes me feel so much better. I feel better just being in a relationship. You're just and fair and loving and encouraging. That's helped me feel better. But it's kind of looking to someone else to make them feel better. And then as time goes by, though, they still haven't dealt with some of these issues they have buried beneath the surface. And some of them are hiding. They're defensive to love, but they want you to be this loving person in their life to be the answer to their problems. But as time goes by, their same fears and insecurities are there, just buried beneath the surface. And they're going to bubble up again because they haven't worked through them. They haven't shed light on them to get to the truth of them, to reconcile, to come to a place of balance about those issues, to free themselves from it. So their issues bubble up again. Then they can become defensive to the people they're in a relationship with because you're not doing your job. Because I didn't take responsibility for it myself. I made that your job. You were supposed to make me feel more balanced, more abundant. And initially it can do that. You get in a relationship and it can feel that way. But just being in a relationship with someone doesn't resolve all your issues that are hidden within you underneath the surface. You have to be motivated and inspired to offer love. The Virgo Hermit is about shedding light on things. And, the Leo card is also represented by the Sun. We have to bring those things into the light, offer love and compassion to them. Kind of get to the truth of the matter. This pain and heartbreak or fears or insecurities, why do I have those? Is it because of people in my life? Were those people kind of unjust, unfair, bossy, controlling, immature? Am I willing to deal with the truth of that? Not everybody's like that. Are the people that I'm in a relationship with like that? If they're not like that, maybe I should work through my fears of being hurt and listen to my intuition about the people I am in a relationship with that are loving and encouraging and supportive and stand up and defend them. But I have to deal with these issues that make me defensive to love to begin with. And some people they still just don't want to deal with those core underlying issues that maybe they're immature and they think it's just and fair to get in a relationship. You're supposed to love me like a parent would love me. My parents love me and they indulge me in my more immature behavior. I didn't have to grow and heal and mature myself. I'm looking for someone to take the place of people like that in my life. And then you realize the people you're in a relationship with, are much more kind of immature, impulsive, bossy, defensive, entitled than you realize they were. And it's like, oh my gosh. And then some of those people are hoping that if they can get you in a relationship or a marriage, that even when the truth is revealed about what was hidden, that because you're defensive to giving birth to anything new, because if we put work and effort into a job, a friendship, a relationship, we'd really like those things to work out so we don't have to go get a different one, right? And then they're hoping you'll just stay in a mental prison. And some people, that is their MO. They kind of hide the truth of who they really are. It's kind of like the devil trying to get you in a trap. Well, by the time you ever find out, because I'm going to create this illusion about who I am. I'm on the same page as you are. Oh, no, I'm being authentic. No, I'm just and fair. No, I act with character and integrity. And then once they get you, the shadowy plan is to get you to move forward in a relationship with them, not seeing the truth. And then as the relationship goes by, when the truth is revealed, then they'll hope because of your ego and things like that and codependent nature or whatever, you'll just keep moving forward in a relationship with them, hiding the truth, kind of indulging them in their poor behavior. And high vibe energy is about, I adhere to a higher truth and justice. My inner child nature and my soul is telling me this is unjust and this is unfair. And I'm not going to let my more worldly egoic nature keep me imprisoned, and other people who I think are being kind of shadowy, not being just and fair and authentic and loving, keep me trapped in something. That's an injustice. And I'm going to stand up for what's just and fair. I'm going to listen to my intuition. And I'm going to protect my just and fair and loving, authentic nature from people who I feel were maybe deceptive and manipulative to begin with, or somewhere along the way kind of drove their life off into the ditch and became kind of more shadowy. And I did this inner work to deal with my own fears and insecurities about standing up for myself. And just like some of you did that, some people are doing that work within themselves right now. And then when you get out of those jobs, friendships, or relationships where you feel like people in some way are being deceptive or manipulative or prideful or egotistical or more about themselves or manipulative or trying to use the love that you have for them to manipulate you and be more about them, then you communicate your truth to other people in your life that, I've moved on from that to get the justice I deserve. I'm listening to my intuition about the people in my life that I think are on the same page as me, that are inspired to be more just and fair and loving. Those are the people I'm going to stand up and defend. Not the people in my life who I don't think are in that energy. They can move on and live their life the way they want. But I'm not moving forward with those people anymore. And the people I want to stand up and defend and move forward with are the people in my life who I think are more on the same page as me. And you could have communicated your truth. Then you could have listened to your intuition, given people in your life some time to work through all their fears and insecurities about, gee, am I willing? What? I have to be more just and fair? You're not going to, because, there's some people in your life you extend some more grace to. So, say you have adult children, but even with your adult children, if you want to be immature or more about yourself or manipulative, I'll see you at Christmas, well, whatever. But the people I'm really going to kind of invest my time, energy, and effort into are the people who treat me in a just and fair and loving way and act with character and integrity, you know? And so it kind of requires everybody to, I can't manipulate you anymore in this relationship, huh? You know, I got to see the truth and I got to do some of my own inner work. You know, and if I'm motivated and inspired to be in relationships with people who also treat me in a just and fair manner, who are loving, why don't I treat them the same way they treat me? You know, and everybody's got to kind of do this work within themselves. Now, some people that, you know, romantic relationships, if there was somebody you could have communicated with that you felt was on the same page as you, and it can be people that you've known, people in your life, people that you meet as you move forward. There's going to be some people that are already in their own high vibrational relationships that are going to be like, well, I'm glad you thought I was someone who is like that. And you're right, I am. And I'm already in a relationship like that. Oh, okay. Well, there were some people we thought we were going to come together with in joy and celebration. But then we see the truth and we have to deal with the truth of not kind of staying in our ego about that. And we need to move on, deal with the truth of it. Okay, you know, I thought that we were on the same page and we maybe were, but they're already in a relationship with someone else. Okay, I need to keep standing up for myself so I don't take action out of more shadowy or settle for less than I deserve. You know, some people can be role models in our life that, okay, well, I met you, you have traits and characteristics and ways of being in the world that I respect and admire, but maybe you're not the person I'm meant to learn lessons from, or if I already know you, maybe I've already learned everything I was meant to learn from you. I believe that the divine has a plan for my life, and I'm not the boss, and I'm going to go with the flow. And I'm going to keep staying in the energy, waiting to see what God has planned for me. And some people that you have communicated with also might communicate with you. Because anybody who's in high vibe energy, if someone wants to reach out to them, they might reach out to you also just to kind of listen to their intuition about where you're coming from. Some of those people are more shadowy and they were like, hey, can I emotionally manipulate you and indulge in a relationship with you? And when you communicate your truth, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna keep moving forward with how I'm living my life, and whoever I might be in relationships with or that I could be in relationships with, you can go, because thanks for thinking I was that type of person, but I'm really not. You know, and sometimes some of the people that we thought were on the same page, we weren't seeing them clearly, or we just don't know them well enough, but they know themselves. And when you communicate your truth in love of how you want to move forward, some of them are like, oh yeah, no, that's not me. Other people could communicate with you because they want to be the next person, even if it's someone that you know from your past or that you've been in a relationship with. Some of those people want to try to confuse you about the truth. They want to be in a relationship with you because you are this inspiring, loving, just fair person. And some of the people they've been hanging out with are maybe kind of immature. And they're going to try to confuse you about the truth, hoping you're still in a mental prison. And some of them are under the illusion that you are in a mental prison. But what they don't know about you is you have done this inner work. You're illuminated to the truth. And if it's someone that you do know, you know what some of their traits and characteristics and kind of ways of being are in a relationship. And I think you would be willing to communicate with them, but you're not going to more emotionally invest in people until your intuition tells you if people are being authentic, if people have gotten out of their more immature, egoic, whatever ways of being. And then if they are, those are people that you would more emotionally invest in. But trying to get to the truth, again, from the one sword to the 8 of swords, who are people who are creating an illusion they're not really who they say they are, who are more motivated to indulge themselves in a relationship, think they should be indulged in a relationship because they indulge their shadowy ways of being, and they think other people should indulge them in those ways, who are the people that are authentic and warm and loving and balanced, and who are the people who just kind of want to indulge in a relationship, and you're going to listen to your intuition. And some of the shadowy people in your life that you've known, they're probably moving on to the next person to try to create this illusion about who they are. And if they get in relationships with other people who are loving, eventually those people will see the truth about them and probably listen to their intuition, and the same pattern will repeat with them. You know, people who aren't as emotionally mature, stable, grounded as other people should quit trying to manipulate people who are like that, and they should get in relationships with people who are more on the same page as them. But maybe those people don't have the status or the image, or aren't as loving and nurturing because they're kind of more immature in a way like they are. And they want to create this illusion that they're this more stable, grounded, emotionally mature person, so they try to get in relationships with people who are like that to make it look like they're that type of person also. As long as they keep trying to do that, loving, intuitive people eventually stand up for themselves. I'm not going to keep moving forward in this because I don't think our truth is the same, and what we think is just and fair is the same. And I'm not going to keep staying in a relationship with people who seem to be defensive to acting in a more just, fair way with character and integrity and love. But they can keep doing it, and if they keep doing it, it'll keep happening. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Capricorn energy that they might not see coming up? High vibe people want to give birth to something new. The Star card. Why? Because of the Star card. You are going to give birth to your dreams. Why? Because you are staying focused on looking at life from the big picture. If I invest my time, energy, and effort into acting in immature ways, being manipulated by my fear, my insecurity, my lust, my greed, I'm going to repeat an old pattern. That is not what I want. I've already been there and done that. I want my dreams to come into reality. So I'm keeping life in perspective. Yes, I have these things I want to give birth to, but I'm going to keep maintaining balance within myself, being loving, warm, truthful, authentic, get to know people in the world, and trust that the divine has a plan for my life. And when those people come into my life, if they're not in my life right now, I'm going to listen to my intuition about the different people who I do meet and who are in my life. And when I find the people that are on the same page as me, those are the people I can work with to bring my dream into reality. I don't want to get myself tangled up in a relationship that I probably shouldn't be in to begin with. I have other things to invest my time, energy, and effort into. If I'm not in a romantic relationship, I have friends, family, career, all these things that are part of the dream, and growing and healing and maturing myself. Being very abundant within myself in lots of ways. And there could be some other people that, could see you moving forward in that way. It makes them think about how they're moving forward in their life. And some of those people will do this work within themselves to speak their truth, to get the justice they deserve, because they're intuitive that you are someone they could have their dreams come into reality with. What's coming up, though, for some people who don't want to keep hiding from the truth, don't want to grow up and mature themselves, don't want to speak the truth, are more caught up maybe in themselves or these things of the world, or being indulged or indulging others for these things of the world. What's coming up for them that they might not see coming up? The Two of Swords are going to keep staying stuck. Why? Because the Two of Wands can be because they keep being in denial that they're more about themselves. They just try to create an illusion that they're willing to do like equal give and take and justice and fairness and love with people, but they're really more about themselves, because the Two of Swords and Aries energy is they're more about themselves, and they don't have to be an Aries sun sign. It's just how some people align within themselves. They don't want to see the truth that it is supposed to be about justice and fairness and love and treating other people the way they want to be treated. They kind of stay in denial of that truth. And they keep thinking they can bring their dream into reality, staying in denial of the truth. What they're trying to find is someone else who doesn't know the truth of who they are, so that they can try to get another person to get in a relationship with them, and hoping that person keeps staying in denial of the truth of who they are, or doesn't listen to their intuition, or doesn't love and believe in themselves, that will keep indulging them in a relationship. But they're always going to have some high vibe people in their life who do listen to their intuition, who realize their dream isn't going to come into reality with these people. They've already been offering them truth, love, encouragement to be in a more just and fair and loving relationship. And the more shadowy or stubborn or immature people keep thinking these people will keep indulging them because they love them. And eventually people do listen to their intuition. And from the 8, the 6 of Swords, Aquarius energy, I have a dream. This isn't moving forward the way I want. I don't think the dream's ever going to come into reality. And they're always going to have some high vibe people who eventually get out of their head, see the truth, my dream isn't going to come into reality here, and they listen to their intuition and they turn their back on these people. So if they have high vibe people that harness high vibe Libra, high vibe Aries, high vibe Virgo, high vibe Gemini, high vibe Capricorn, those people eventually will move on because they are inspired to get the justice they deserve. And some of the shadowy people in their life, that's not going to happen. And again, eventually, if these people keep kind of being more about themselves or their defensive nature or immature nature or whatever, or more about ego and image, the people who are going to probably stay in a relationship with them might be kind of more about the worldly dream too, and more motivated and inspired to make those things about what they indulge in, or just being in a relationship, or out of fear or insecurity, maybe more caught up in ego or image. And if it makes them look how victorious and successful I am moving forward, they maybe stay in the relationship with them because was their dream also. I don't want to speak my truth. I don't look at life from a higher perspective. I don't think there's any more to this world than what the world tells us it is. Let's go make our life about these things of the world. And they're on the same page. That would be a just and fair relationship. But, they're just people who haven't been enlightened to the truth that love is what makes it all worthwhile. You have the opportunity to get a divine inheritance, or you can settle for the more worldly dream. And that's your free will choice, and some people want to do that. And there's other people in the world who want to do that too. It's just that other people think it is about living your more authentic life, not making your life so much about those things where it's more about ego and image or you. It's about shining your authentic light to offer love to other people in the world, to help them have hope and faith and belief in their dreams. And shadowy energy can be more competitive. Why would I want that person to shine bright in the world? I like the attention. I like it being about me. So sometimes they don't like when other people are victorious and successful. High vibe people want other people to grow to their full potential. Do your thing. Be great at it. We can't do everything. We need other people to do their thing. But some people don't like that because shadowy energy can be, I like it to be all about me. I want people to be focused on me. I don't want people to view other people as stable or grounded or victorious or successful. They're supposed to view me that way. So I can be very competitive energy. So there you go, Capricorn energy. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.